Assalamualaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew, and my partner here. It's wonderful and precious chance for us to be your master of ceremony in this beautiful morning, 30th of November 2020.
Selamat pagi dan selamat datang. Dan rekan saya aku, sebuah kehormatan bagi kami menjadi Master of Ceremony pada kesempatan pagi hari ini 30 November 2020.
Dan Rektor Universitas Jember, Dr. Insinyur PUI-PT.
Yang terhormat Rektor Universitas Jember, Dr. Insinyur PUI-PT.
Dan Rektor Vice Rector 1 of Universitas Jember, Profesor Dr. Slamin M.Com SG PhD.
Yang terhormat Wakil Rektor 1 Universitas Jember, Profesor Dr. Slamin M.Com SG PhD.
Dan Vice Rector 3 of Universitas Jember, Profesor Bambang Kuswandi MSc PhD.
Yang terhormat Wakil Rektor 3 Universitas Jember, Profesor Bambang Kuswandi MSc PhD.
Dan Chairman of ICONNSMAL, Profesor Dr. David MSc PhD.
Yang kami hormati Ketua ICONNSMAL, Profesor Dr. David MSc PhD.
The Honorable Keynote Speaker and distinguished guests.
Yang kami hormati pembicara seminar kali ini serta hadirin sekalian yang berbahagia.
Welcome to the second day of the first International Conference on Neural Networks and Machine Learning 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let's say thanks to Allah who have giving us guidance, happiness, health, and mercy, so we can attend the event without any obstacles. Praise and salutations always to on our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Pertama-tama, marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadiran Allah SWT atas berkat dan rahmat-Nya lah kita dapat bersama-sama menghadiri acara ini tanpa ada kendala. Shalawat serta salam semoga selalu terpanjatkan kepada Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this special morning, we would like to begin with informing you about our today's agenda.
Hadirin yang kami muliakan, izinkan kami terlebih dahulu membacakan susunan agenda pada hari ini.
The first agenda is opening sessions.
Acara pertama pembukaan.
The second is opening dance.
Acara kedua penampilan tarian pembuka yang bebelkan.
And the third is singing national anthem of Indonesia.
Acara ketiga menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya.
And the following agenda is singing hymn of Universitas Jember.
Acara keempat menyanyikan himne Universitas Jember.
The fifth is opening remark by keynote speaker representative.
Dilanjutkan sambutan perwakilan dari keynote speaker.
And the following opening remarks it will be given by the chairman of ICONNSMAL.
Dan acara kelima sambutan ketua ICONNSMAL.
The sixth is reading a prayer.
Acara keenam pembacaan doa.
The following one is presentation from keynote speaker.
Acara ketujuh presentasi dari keynote speaker.
The eighth is closing.
Acara kedelapan penutup.
And the last but not least is announcements and the parallel session.
Dan acara ke-9 pengumuman sesi paralel.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us start this agenda, this event by saying basmalah together.
Hadirin yang berbahagia, marilah kita buka acara ini dengan bacaan basmalah bersama-sama.
Bismillah. Start to the second agenda is opening dance by Sanggar Tari Hastari with Nyambi Peltek Dance.
Acara kedua yaitu penampilan tari pembuka dari Hastarini dengan tarian Nyambi Peltek.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Sanggar Tari Hastari.
Thank you. berdepan.
Ladies and gentlemen, step to the following agenda is singing National Anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya, and I of Universitas Jember. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up.
Acara selanjutnya adalah menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya dan himne Universitas Jember. Hadirin dimohon berdiri.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seat.
Hadirin disilakan duduk kembali.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the next agenda. That is opening remark by representative of keynote speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Sunder MSc MTech PhD.
Acara selanjutnya adalah sambutan perwakilan dari keynote speaker oleh Dr. Sunder MSc PhD.
To Dr. Sunder, the floor is yours.
Kami persilakan Dr. Sunder.
Respected rectors from the university, Professor JP from the department, and learned professors from the various departments and across the world. And my dear fellow students and research scholars in the department, a warm greetings to you and good morning. I'm really proud to be a part of this first international conference on neural network and machine learning. I could see here the university and department are encouraging the interdisciplinary research in web neural network and machine learning. Yesterday, I have reached here for the first international conference on machine learning and neural network. So every session is fruitful and more informative, and the research scholars are very happy and they learn good information about the research. After that, we had a good interaction with all the research people in the department regarding the live real-time problems which will be relevant to the society. That is more important for every research people, finding the research problem for the society, which will be maximum utilization. Relevant to river management and the predictions and agriculture field, we have a lot of discussion and research findings. I'm wondering the young brains working behind this research and conference. It is happy to see everything. It's a great opportunity to all over the world people, those who are working in neural network and machine learning. Please visit Indonesia and the University of Jember for the further collaboration in machine learning and neural networks. So once again, I wish all the very best to the young minds and research community which is belongs to Indonesia. And today we are eagerly waiting for Professor Nagamani from India. Saya one among the speaker in this conference. So we wish to receive you soon in the campus also. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting the good invitation from the university. And here, higher education is more focused about the research in advanced technology. So first, I would like to appreciate and thanks to the rectors from the university for propagating and encouraging the enthusiastic students from the university. And the hospitality and the infrastructure and the facility they have arranged in such a way for the international standard. So once again, I wish all the very best and congratulations who behind this conference to be a more successful one and standard one. So thank you all for inviting me and giving the session and floor to me for delivering the speech. So thank you so much. Good morning once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sundar, for the amazing speech.
Kami ucapkan terima kasih kepada Dr. Sundar atas sambutannya.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the next agenda. Is welcoming speech by the chairman of ICONNSMAL, Professor Dr. David, PhD.
Acara selanjutnya adalah sambutan oleh Ketua ICONNSMAL, Profesor Dr. David, MSc, PhD.
Profesor David, the floor is yours.
Kepada Profesor David, disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Rector of the University of Jember, the Honorable Deputy of Rector for Academic and Student Affairs, as well as Honorable Rector for Collaboration in Information Technology, the distinguished invited speaker from yesterday until today's, and especially my friend, as well as the distinguished speaker from India, who is coming directly to the University of Jember, Associate Professor Dr. Sundar. And today's is the second day of our conference, namely the first international conference on neural networks and machine learning. I'm gratefully to welcome all of you, the participants, either in the Zoom meeting or in this classroom. This conference aims to share an idea of the application side of the computer science, mathematics, together with engineering. Thence, we deal with the artificial neural networks or machine learning in general. Yesterday, either invited speaker already shared the recent result, and especially machine learning or deep learning. In the afternoon time, the parallel sessions already happened. And I feel that there are a lot of contributions is shared by the invited speaker or the parallel session to this subject area, this research of interest. And hopefully it is continued by today's meeting, by today's discussion. And we really happy to hear the invited speaker to share their ideas, and really pleased to see that the parallel speaker distributed or shared their recent knowledge in this region of interest. Hopefully, this conference will be benefiting to all of you, and especially my friends, my dear friends from India, Dr. Sundar will continue with us, especially with this University of Jember, to have a good collaboration, especially in doing a joint research or a joint paper, and also having an expertise exchange between our two universities. And that's all for me. And by reciting Basmala, I formally open this second conference for all of you. Thank you very much. Good luck and have a good conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Shafii, for the welcome speaking.
Mengucapkan terima kasih atas sambutan sekaligus pembuka oleh Profesor David.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the next agenda. There is a leading prayer by Zainul Hasim Tigo SPD.
Acara selanjutnya adalah pembacaan doa oleh Bapak Zainul Tigo SPD MD.
To Mr. Zainul, the floor is yours.
Kepada Bapak Zainul, disilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin hamdan na'iman hamdan yuafi ni'ma yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalalika wa bi sultan. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. Kama shallaita ala sayyidina Ibrahim وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إنا نسألك سلامة في الدين وعافية في الجسد وزيادة في العلم وبركة في الرزق وتوبة قبل الموت ورحمة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت. اللهم هون علينا بسخرة الموت والنجاة من النار والعفو عند الحساب. اللهم يسر لنا ولا تعسر. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء من كل داء وسقام برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مجيب السائلين. To you belong our prizes. This morning we pray for your generosity to reveal our hearts and our mind, so that we can achieve useful knowledge about neural network and machine learning for this conference, the first ICONNSMAL 2020. Please, Ya Allah, add our knowledge and our understanding. Birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbana hab lana min azwajina dhurriyyatina qurrata a'yun waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رحمن يا رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zainul.
Kami sampaikan terima kasih kepada Bapak Zainul.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering our main agenda, the plenary sessions by our keynote speaker.
Hadirin yang berbahagia, kita memasuki acara inti pada hari ini, yaitu penayangan video ICONNSMAL 2022, dilanjutkan dengan plenary session oleh pembicara tamu kita.
The first presentation will be given by Profesor Slamin M.Com SCXD from Universitas Jember, Indonesia.
Presentasi pertama akan disampaikan oleh Profesor Slamin M.Com SC PhD dari Universitas Jember, Indonesia.
And the second presentation will be given by Associate Professor Dr. G. Nagamani from Gadingram Rural Institute, India.
Presentasi kedua akan disampaikan oleh Associate Profesor Dr. J. Najamani dari Gandigram Rural Institute, India.
And the third presentation will be given by Associate Professor Khairul Anam MT PhD from Universitas Jember, Indonesia.
Presentasi ketiga akan disampaikan oleh Associate Profesor Khairul Anam MT PhD dari Universitas Jember MT Jember, Indonesia.
And this plenary session will be conducted by Mr. Zainul Rahim Ridho, SPD MPD from Universitas Jember, Indonesia.
Dan pada sesi hari ini dimoderatori oleh Bapak Zainul Rashid Ridho, SPD MPD dari Universitas Jember, Indonesia.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the second day of the first International Conference on Neural Networks and Machine Learning 2022.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your big attention, please? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Rahayu. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zainul Rashid. I'm a moderator for this, the second day of the plenary session. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome all of you in this wonderful occasion. In the first International Conference on Neural Network and Machine Learning 2022, ICONNSMAL 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, in this second day of the plenary session, we'll have three invited speakers. The first is Professor Slamin M. PUI-PT from University of Jember, Indonesia. The second speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Gina Gamani, PhD from the Gandhigram Rural Institute, India. And the last is Associate Professor Farul Anand, MD, PhD from University of Jember, Indonesia. Before we go to the presentation of our inspired speaker, let me read the regulation of this plenary session. Every speaker has 1.5 hours. It consists 1 hour for presentation and 30 minutes for discussion. If the audience has questions, you can write the question in the Zoom chat box, or you can ask directly to the speaker by using raise hand feature in the Zoom meeting. Let me call your name first, and then you can ask directly to the speaker. Please mute your microphone if you have no impedance, and please don't leave the meeting until this plenary session ends. Now, let me go to first presentation of first invited speaker, Professor Slamin M. PhD, who will deliver a talk about application of graph theory in information technology. But before we begin the presentation, let me read the curriculum vitae of Professor Slamin M. PhD. Professor Slamin M. PhD is professor in University of Jember, Indonesia, Professor Studi Program of Informatics, University Jember, Indonesia. He completed his master degree and PhD degree from the University of Newcastle, Australia. Now, he is the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs in University of Jember. The research interest is graph labeling, optimal network, dominating set, metric dimension, graph coloring, and information technology. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our invited speaker, Professor Slamin. Professor Slamin, time is yours. Our first invited speaker.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is very good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer, especially Professor David, who invited me to be one of invited speaker in the international conference on neural network and machine learning, or ICONNSMAL 2022. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to share my presentation. Yeah, actually, last week I talked about other application of graph theory, especially for other aspect or other sectors. Yeah, but today, because we are talking about neural network and machine learning, so I will talk about application of graph theory in information technology. Yeah. So I hope this is gives you point of view how to apply graph theory in some other area, especially in information technology, who are currently, which is currently very interesting for some researchers. Okay, this is some application of graph theory in information technology. The first one is in optimal network. I think this is the very classic problem. And the second one is cabling system. And the third one is optimal delivery, ASP or traveling salesman problem, network addressing, optimal matching, robot navigation, shortest path, and CCTV placement or other object placement. Yeah. Okay. I think I will start with some very old and very first problem in graph theory, which is given by, well, not given, but founded by Euler. Yeah. So that's problem. I think it's solved by Euler, and it became like a first theorem in graph theory. Yeah, it's called a Eulerian set width. Yeah, so the Eulerian set width is actually a walk that travels each and exactly one, such that the walk begin and end at the same vertex. So this is the example of the Eulerian set width. We can start from any vertex here, and we will end up with the same vertex. Yeah, and this walk will traverse every edges exactly once. Yeah, you can see here the degree of every vertex is even. Yeah, so we can just coming out and then coming in again in some vertex. Yeah. Okay, this is the application for the Eulerian set width. So this is actually, especially for Dr. Standard, this is the map for our university. Yeah, if we represent our university by graph, it looks like this graph. Yeah, the faculty or the office is presented by campuses, and the road or the street between the office or the faculty, yeah, represented by X. So you can see actually the existing map or the existing route that connecting all offices in our university, especially in the Kalboto campus, is not Eulerian set width, because some of vertices have odd degrees. So we can just make actually what's called pseudo edge, yeah, that connecting every odd vertices in that circuit. So you can see here that this vertices are actually connected by two edges, and one of them is pseudo edges. So you can see here that every vertex has like even degree. So you can just apply Eulerian set width to traverse every edge of this graph. Yeah. Okay. The next one is actually minimum spanning tree. Yeah, but tree is a graph that does not contain cycle. The example of tree, and spanning tree is a subgraph that connects all the vertices at each tree. So, for example, if we have a graph here, yeah, on the left, so we can just find the spanning tree. One of the spanning trees look like this. Yeah, you can see this star. Yeah, this is one of spanning tree, and in this spanning tree, usually we find a minimum spanning tree, which is a spanning tree that contains shortest edges. Yeah, especially when the edges contain weights. Yeah. So this is actually back to the map of our university. Yeah, you can see here that this graph, actually we can find that minimum spanning tree. Yeah, yeah, how to construct the shortest path that connect all places, yeah, especially when we need some like pedestrian, yeah, that connecting every place in our university, yeah. So you can see that we can use, for example, critical algorithm, yeah, to find minimum spanning tree, yeah, and we can use this algorithm, yeah, until we find that this is actually the minimum spanning tree or the shortest path that connected all places in our campus, yeah, especially the connecting office or some units or some faculties, yeah. Okay, the next one is Hamiltonian cycle, which is actually used by traveling, yeah, salesperson, yeah. And the Hamilton cycle is actually a cycle in a graph that covers all vertices, yeah, which is different with a Eulerian simply. Yeah, Eulerian use edges, but in Hamilton cycle we use vertex, yeah. So you can see this actually the same graph as before. You can start from one vertex, and you can just visit another vertex, yeah, exactly once, and back to the same vertex, yeah, in the beginning. So that's called Hamiltonian cycle. Okay, this is back to the our campus map again. Yeah, so we can visit every place in this place, especially in this campus. Yeah, start and finish in the same place efficiently. Yeah, because if you see, this is actually the most optimal solution or shortest path for this situation. Yeah, it does not contain Hamilton cycle, but we can make it as such as, yeah, very little, I mean very not many vertices fitted more than once. Yeah, you can see here there is one vertex actually we traverse twice. Yeah, so I think this is optimal. And the next one is matching. Yeah, matching in the graph. Matching is a set of edges that are not sharing the same vertex. Yeah, you can start from this example. Yeah, this graph. Actually, you can find matching in this graph. The first one is not maximal. Why? Because there are two vertices which is not connected with other vertices, yeah, or other partners. So we can just retrace so that we can find the maximal matching. And this is actually perfect matching because every vertex has partner, yeah, has match, yeah. Okay. What is it for? This is actually for many things. Yeah, for example, we can just find job position, yeah, for right person, yeah, so that we can find the right place for the right man, yeah, for the right woman or the right person, yeah. We can use just optimally because that we have like 4 positions, yeah, to be filled, to be placed by 6 candidates, yeah, and we suppose that we assume that if there is 8, it means that this person actually satisfy or follow the criteria, yeah. So we can find the optimal matching here, yeah, determine the job position, yeah, so that the right person got the right position. So we can find this actually matching. So sorry, in the screen is not the same as my screen. Yeah. I don't know. I think there is in my screen this actually it's already got some matching. Yeah, some problem, but here it's not. Yeah, in the Zoom meeting is okay. Yeah, this one is not okay. Yeah. The Zoom meeting is okay. Yeah. Okay, that's it. So that's actually the matching. Yeah, this is actually maximal matching. Even it's not perfect because sorry, I think there is some connection problem. so I have to share again. So this is the jobs and the person who got matched is another. Yeah. Okay, the next part is optimal network. Yeah, optimal network problem. The problem is we want to construct graph of order as large as possible, given maximum degree D and diameter K. Yeah, for example, we given some computer and we need to connect this computer to become like a computer network, such that this computer network is optimal. Optimal means efficient. Efficient is we don't have to spend much money to build that computer network. But of course, the computer network is reliable, zero downtime and so on. Yeah, very fast. Yeah, no failure. Yeah. So how to contact this network? Yeah, this is actually a very simple problem. Yeah, if we have same resources. Yeah, we have the same number of practices. We have the same number of connection. Yeah, but if you see this two graphs topologies, that topologies are different. But you can see that this one is actually one of them is more optimal. Yeah, if you choose this one, well, this is like a very beautiful picture. Yeah? But this one is actually we have stars inside there, and you can see that this G2 or this graph on the right is more optimal. Why? Because we can reach any contact in that graph at most in 2 seconds. But on the other hand, in this on the left, on G1 here, of course, we can traverse. We can reach this vertex to this vertex. We need to have like this one is actually 2, yeah. But in this inside this vertex, yeah. From this vertex, we have to like traverse 3 edges here. So the distance between this vertex and this vertex is 3, but on the other hand, the distance between this one and this one is at most 2. Means that the diameter of T1 is 3 and the diameter of G2 is 2. So the G2 is more optimal. So even if we have the same resources, topology. Sorry, I don't know why I think the network is quite unstable. In my computer, it's not working yet. But so it's back. Sorry. But I think I can use tethering, yeah. Okay, that's that. Okay, I have to share again. Okay, this is actually the problem. I mean, the research on optimal network, yeah, problem. Actually, this is very old problem, yeah. But I think the newest one is in 2020. There is some research done by some people in Czech, yeah, and also from Slovak. I think this is the most a productive person in that country. Yeah. Okay. The next one is usually we use this problem for network addressing. Yeah. So the problem is called magic total labeling. I think many people talk about this topic, yeah, especially in graph theory. This is a favorite problem, I think, favorite topic. There are many papers already published in this area. Yeah, that problem is actually on the top. The graph labeling is actually introduced by Kotzik and Rosa. Yeah. And magic labeling of graph is one-to-one map from vertex B and edge set E of the graph to integer 1 to up to the number of edges and vertices of the graph, such that the weight of every edge of the graph is a constant. Each weight is actually the sum of the level of edge and each to n vertices. So I think this is very easy to understand, yeah. And the graph labeling is not as edge magic total labeling because the weight is counted on the edges. Yeah. Okay, this is the example of edge magic total labeling. You can see in this graph that actually this one is have sum equal to 29, and this one is also 29, and so on. Yeah, all edges have the same weight, which is equal to 29. Okay, and the next one is actually Mark and Wallace, yeah, use this graph labeling to assign address for network, yeah, in communication, yeah, in communication link. So the address of communication link actually are the result of edge weight, which is subtracted by the level of the two ends of vertices of edges. So we just need to know the constant magic, yeah, the magic constant, so that we can now the address of every link and also every client, every terminal, yeah, of the network. So this is the example for the assignment of network address. Yeah, suppose that we have devices, yeah, which is connected in the same, I mean, in this condition, this manner, yeah, and we represent this connection into graph. It looks like this graph, which is actually binary tree, yeah, and we can just use edge magic total labeling, yeah, to address the link and the connection. So we just need to know the k is equal to 41. Then if we have 13, yeah, and 3, we need link 25 to send a message from this vertex to this vertex. If the message is sent to edge, yeah, from edge to 14, so we need like link 19 to deliver that message, and so on. Yeah. So it's guaranteed that the message is come on the right address. Yeah. Okay, this is some research on graph labeling, and actually there is a very good survey, dynamic survey done by Gallian, and some after he passed away, somebody like continue his work, yeah. So that survey is updating, yeah. But the newest one that I got is in 2020. Maybe there is other new paper in this survey. Yeah? I don't know. Yeah, I haven't checked it, but as far as I know, the newest one is in 2020. Okay. The next problem is called metric dimension. Yeah. The definition of metric dimension is actually G is a connected graph of order M, and W, which is actually the order set, yeah, contain W1 up to WK, yeah, and V be a vertex in G, vertex representation V with respect to W is order pair K to tuple, R V respect to W, equal to this actually the distance, between V and every elements of W, Okay, so a set of W is called a resulting set of G if every vertex in G has different representation with respect to W. So then the resulting set with minimum cardinality is called basis. And the number of vertices in basis of graph is called dimension of G and denoted by G. So this problem is introduced by Chakra and other in 2000. Okay, this is the example of metric dimension of graph. Suppose that we have this graph. If we choose this vertices as the element of W, then this one is called resulting set because it will, if we see the distance between every vertex of G to these three vertex, we can have like a different representation of every vertices. So that's why we call it a resulting set. But this one is not a resulting set because if we can see here, for example, the distance between this one X, this one the representative is 1 and 2. Why? Because the distance between X and W is 1, and the distance between X and B is 2. And this one is also 1 and 2. Because the distance between Y and W is 1, and distance between Y and B is 2. And this these two vertices at the same representation, which is not allowing a resulting set. And this one, if we choose this vertices instead of this one, we can have like a resulting set here, and this is the minimal one. So that's why we call basis. And because the cardinality of the basis is 2, so the dimension, the digits of T is equal to 2. You can check. Every vertex here has different representation, respect to this W. Okay, what is it for? This is actually used for robot navigation because robot move from one location to another, and to work optimally, usually robots memorize the translating code, which is actually the what's called the coordinate for the location. Right? So every node has to provide unique code, otherwise the robot will confuse, which place should be visited. So in order to move efficiently, robot has to translate the code very quick. Which means that the location mode must have code as minimal as possible. So that's why in this graph theory, we can use this one metric dimension. Okay, this is for example. This robot is like move in this direction. So if the track of the robots we draw the graph, we can have this graph, and now we can choose a resulting set for this graph. So you can see here that this one is actually the resulting set. This one is the minimal. So now we actually contact have actually different code. You can see here. So the robot will move to the place, in the correct way. Okay, this is some research on this metric dimension. Now the metric dimension also become a very interesting topic, yeah. And many people actually expand this problem into like local metric dimension. They even like combine with domination, yeah, domination set. Yeah, we call it dominant metric dimension. Yeah. Okay, next one is dominating set. I think everybody know this one. Yeah, the vertex V graph is set to dominate the vertex inside, and also every vertex that is adjacent to V, which is the neighbors of V, right? Itself and the neighbors. Yeah. And set S, which is subset of V, is called domination set if every vertex of V is dominated by at least one vertex in S. Yeah. So of course, the minimum cardinality among domination set is called dominating number of G. And this one is also introduced by Chandra, yeah, and Lesnian and Chandra. Okay, this is domination set. Why? Because this practices, yeah, dominated are the all vertices in that graph. Yeah. And this one is not, because there is one vertex which is not dominated by vertices, which is the element of a domination set. Yeah, this is the domination set, but these three vertices cannot reach R. Yeah. Okay, so that's why not domination set, but this one is domination set, and this is minimal. Yeah, comparing with this one is less than, and we can use two vertices here to dominate all vertices in the graph. Okay, and this is the example for the application of dominating set. So we can just put or what's called place some CCTV, yeah, to cover some other place, yeah, in optimal way. So in this case, we just need to use two CCTVs. Yeah, you can just place it in this place or put it here. Yeah. So this CCTV can cover this area itself and also the neighbors. Yeah, this neighbors, and this one is also this neighbor. So every place in this area we cover by two CCTVs. Yeah. And of course we can use for other applications such as the placement of ambulance or of iron packs. Okay, this is the research on domination set. Actually, there are many. Yeah, I only have the current one, and it's related to, I mean, people surrounding Jember, yeah, who works in domination set. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, actually, there are research that combine two topics, yeah, dominating set and also metric dimension. Yeah. Okay, the last one is about coloring. Yeah, I think everyone know coloring. Yeah, we just color the vertex or the edges. Yeah, such that if they are adjacent, then they have to use different colors. Yeah, and the problem is we want to minimize the number of colors used to color that graph. Yeah, this is the example for vertex coloring. Yeah, this one is tree coloring, but this one is not proper. It's not correct vertex coloring because there are two adjacent vertices which have same color. Yeah, but this one is actually proper. Yeah, but it is not optimal actually. Why? Because they use 4 colors, but in this one we just need 2 colors. So that's why this is proper, and the chromatic number for this graph is equal to 2. Yeah. Okay. And we can use this one to for scheduling system. Yeah. Suppose that we have I mean some laboratory have 5 members, say A, B, C, up to E, And these 5 members actually belong to 5 committees: ED, AC, DAB, CE, and ED, where sets indicate who is in each committee. So one day, each committee has to meet for 1 hour, and obviously, all 5 committees cannot meet during the same hour because some members belong to several committees and cannot be in 2 places. Of course, now it can happen because we can use the first meeting use offline directly, and the second one use Zoom, virtually. So we can just have 2 meetings. Well, we're not supposed to be like that. So we're supposed to have the meetings physically in one room. So now the problem is, what is the fewest number of hours needed for all the committed to meet? So actually we can just represent that situation into a graph. So if they have the same member in the committee, then there is edge that connect between 2 vertices. After that, we can just use perfect coloring. So this is the minimal coloring that you can use to color that graph. So the color of vertices indicate the time that they can meet. So we can have 3 hours meeting. But it is guaranteed that nobody have the same time to meet. In the 2 meetings. Okay, this is the simple ways. Another one is edge coloring. We just need to color the edges. Such that if the edge are adjacent, then they have to use the different color. I think that the chromatic number is defined in the same way. So this one is free coloring, but it is not proper because actually these edges have the same color. But this one is actually proper, but they use 4 colors. This one is proper, but they use 3 colors. So this one is minimal, and we cannot use 2 colors to color the edge of the graph. Because the degree of the of every factor in this graph is equal to 3. So at least we can use 3 colors. Okay, this is the example. Suppose that I got this one from application flight radar application. This one, you can see that actually there are many planes who which want to land. And suppose that an airport has 3 runway. I think Singapore has 3 runway. And to optimize landing process, the airport authority arranges that 3 planes are always landing in the same time. To minimize the time. And how does the airport authority develop optimal landing scheduling system? Actually, this is very in graph theory. It is very simple. We can just define a graph with the vertex B and set E, and vertex U represent a plane, and vertex B represent a runway. And there is an edge UV. If the plane U can land on runway base B. So we just need color the edges of the graph such that there is no adjacent edge having the same color. And the independent set of edges with the same color is actually the schedule for the plane to land at the same time. So this is a very simple graph in our mind, because we are graph theorists. And we just need to color this graph with the edge coloring. So if it is red, then any plane that we plane can land, follow the color. So you can just well, probably in maybe 3 minutes, we can just see that 9 planes landing in the runway. Yeah, I think this is very difficult. Yeah. Okay, this is the research on craft coloring. There are many, and of course, also craft coloring is expanded into many problems, yeah, such as rainbow coloring or whatever coloring lah, gitu ya. Then I think that's it, yeah, from me. Thank you for your attention. Any question? I will give back to the chair.
Thank you very much, Professor Smami. For inspiring wonderful knowledge. Now we come to discussion session. If you have a question, you can write the question in the chat box, or you can use the feature of right hand in Zoom meeting. Ask directly to the speaker. Okay, this is also for offline participant. Maybe all of you have a question to Mr. Professor Smami.
You don't have to force them to have question. There is no question that is good.
Any question? Many topic of graph theory related to computational knowledge has many applications into the math, such as coloring, metric dimension, and others. Many contributions of metric dimension is for urban navigation. Metric dimension is a special topic because a lot of technology is using a metric dimension. And the scheduling system using vertical coloring to make it good scheduling. Thank you very much, Professor Slami, for inspiring presentation. And please give a round of applause for Professor Slami.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Prof. David, again for inviting me. And actually, this remind me to the graph theory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Slami, for the amazing presentations.
Terima kasih, Profesor Slami, atas materi yang disampaikan.
Before we enter the next plenary sessions, we would like to invite you, Professor Slamings, and all offline participants to come forward for documentation for the system.
Okay.
Yang kedua adalah foto bersama dengan pemateri pertama. Kami persilakan Profesor Sami untuk bergabung di atas panggung.
Ya, oke. You are in the middle. You are in the middle. Ayo, Mbak.
1, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3.
Oke, semua. Freestyle.
Once again, 1.
Oke, semua. Oh, jadi bahkan apa-apa. Sudah semua, ayo semua.
Persilakan untuk serta yang lainnya untuk
So participants that come in offline session, please come forward.
Semua sekarang. Sampaikan.
Pak Jen.
One, two, and three. Then 1, 2, 3. Lagi 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the next agenda. There is a rewarding sessions giving the certificate to our first presenter, Profesor Slamin and SCXU.
Hadirin yang berbahagia, untuk acara selanjutnya adalah penyerahan sertifikat oleh pemateri pertama, yaitu Profesor Slamin, yang akan diserahkan oleh Profesor David.
We would like to invite Profesor Slamin and SCXU to join with us in the stage.
Kami persilahkan Profesor Slamin dan Profesor David.
And I would like to invite Profesor David and SCXU to giving a certificate to Professor Slamin. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm applause to our great speaker, Professor Slamin. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm applause to Professor Slamin. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have our second plenary sessions in 10:15. So we still have a break time until 10:15 in Western.
Hadirin yang berbahagia, kita akan istirahat sejenak ya, antara di 10 sampai 15 menit ke depan.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we go on to the second presentation of our second invited speaker, Associate Professor Dr. G. Nagamani, PhD, from Gandhigram Rural Institute, India. To Miss Associate Professor Dr. Nagamani, you are in Zoom now.
Hi Nagamani, are you at Zoom right now?
எல்லாம் ஆன்ல தான் இருக்கு இல்லையா? இப்படி சத்தம் கேட்கலையா? ஐயா ஜூம் மீட்டிங் நான் மினிமைஸ் தான் பண்ணுவேன். வர மாட்டேங்க ஃபுல்லா. ஓகே ஓகே நான் ஆரம்பிக்கலன்னா ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன் வந்து இதானே.
Are you ready?
Professor, good morning. I'm ready, Professor.
Good morning,
Professor.
madam.
Yes, can you hear me?
நாகமணி மேடம் எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கேன் சார். நீங்க நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா? சார் நீங்க நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
நல்லா இருக்கேன் மேடம்.
ஓகே ஓகே. என்னைக்கு சார் போனீங்க இந்தோனேஷியா?
ஆமா, இந்த ஆளாக வந்து பாத்துக்கோங்க. நீங்க
சார்
வந்துட்டு யூனிவர்சிட்டில இருந்து
சரிங்க சார். ஓகே ஓகே
வந்து யூனிவர்சிட்டி பக்கத்துல ஸ்டே பண்ணிருக்கேன்.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே ஓகே.
இப்படிக்கு நேத்து வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டே கான்ஃபரன்ஸோட இனாகிரேஷன் அப்புறம் என்னோட ஸ்பீச் இருந்தது.
ஓகே.
ப்ரொஃபசர் டெக்கிக்கு வந்து டெக்கிங்க எல்லாத்தையும்
ஹாய் ப்ரொஃபசர். ஹலோ. ஹாய். ஹலோ ப்ரொஃபசர். ஹலோ.
லாஸ்ட் டைம் நீங்க வந்த விஷயங்களை பத்தி சொன்னாங்க.
ஓ எஸ் ப்ரொஃபசர். எஸ் எஸ்.
ஆமா, அப்புறம் வந்து ப்ரொஃபசர் டெக்கிக் அண்ட் டீம் அவங்க ஊட்டிக்கு வந்த விஷயம் நீங்க மீட் பண்ணது எல்லாம்
எஸ் எஸ் சார். எஸ் சார். எஸ்.
எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்லயும் நல்லா இருந்தது, பார்க்கறதுக்கு ஹாப்பியா இருந்தது. அப்புறம் நாம தமிழ்ல பேசுறதுக்கு அவங்களுக்கு பயங்கர சந்தோஷம்.
நம்ம லாங்குவேஜ் பேசுறோம்னு. ஓகே. ஹவ் இஸ் இந்தோனேஷியா? நீங்க நிறைய பிளேஸ் விசிட் பண்ணீங்களா?
ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்குது. அப்புறம் இல்ல, அதாவது ஒரு எந்துவா ஒரு ஆர்வமா ரிசர்ச் பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு
பார்க்கும்போது நமக்கும் ஒரு சந்தோஷம்.
ஆமா உண்மையிலே people are very kind enough. அவங்க ரொம்ப நம்ம கிட்ட ரொம்ப பாசமா இருப்பாங்க.
எனக்கு ஒரு ஆச்சரியமான ஒரு விஷயம் என்னன்னா நல்லா
எஸ்
டெக்னாலஜிலையும் ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் டு அப்கிரேட்
எஸ்
அப்புறம் வந்து they are very loving and caring about the kids.
எஸ் ஆமா சார் ரியலி ஐ மிஸ் தேம். ஏன்னா இந்த முறை வந்து ஐ couldn't able to come in offline, so I couldn't visit to Indonesia, so I miss them a lot.
Next year, should come down again.
அப்ப next year வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாரும் வந்து பிசிக்கலா இங்க வந்து எல்லா மக்களையும் பார்த்து
கண்டிப்பா கண்டிப்பா
பாசமா பேசி அவங்களுக்கு
ஆமா
அதாவது it is like a celebration.
yes yes
Okay, are you ready now?
Professor, yes I am ready professor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay sir, thank you sir, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Before we begin the presentation, let me read the curriculum vitae of Associate Professor Dr. Gina Nagamani, PhD. Associate Professor Dr. G. Nagamani, PhD, talking about neural network and some application. Associate Professor Dr. G. Nagamani, PhD, is Professor, Assistant Professor with 12 years experience in research specialization about neural network, specificity and specificity theory. Dr. G. Nagamani had 55 publications during 2010 until now, with its index is 18 from Scopus database. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our second invited speaker, Associate Professor Dr. G. Nagamani, PhD. For Dr. G. Nagamani, PhD, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for your nice introduction. And now I want to share my PPT. Just a minute. Double click. Professor, can you see my PPT? Is it visible?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Full screen போட்டுடலாமா? Okay. இது ஃபுல்லா மேல முன்னாடி வராது, பின்னாடி screen. இத மினிமைஸ் பண்ணிடுங்க. மினிமைஸ் ஆகலையே. சாரி. Okay. Okay, good morning, very good morning to one and all present here through online. And at this juncture, I would like to thank our professor, Professor Dafik, and our resource person from Tamil Nadu. And I would like to thank all the faculty members and research team of Professor Dafik and all other participants of this international conference. Good morning, everyone, and I thank you very much. Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. So my topic is today from neural networks and its stability analysis. Actually, we have not yet gone into the application field of neural networks, because we have so far we have analyzed the theoretical analysis, that is qualitative analysis about neural networks. So from that I want to give something regarding my research work, and later maybe we have started with working with application field from neural networks. Maybe next time I will give you with some real life applications, particularly in deep learning. Okay, so my topic is fully about neural networks and its stability analysis. Before getting into stability analysis, we will see some basic things about neural networks. So we will see what is a neural network and how it works. And this is the outline of my presentation for this session. First, we will see what is the history of the neural networks and who developed, how it is developed to recent days artificial neural networks. And we will see what is the background of artificial neural networks, how it is composed of neurons like that. And next we will see what is the basic neuronal model, how it is structured, and what are the components of a neuron model. And next we will see basic structure and along with its properties of the neural networks. And what is the learning process, why we need to go with the learning process in term for neural networks, and what are the different types of learning process, all that we can see. And after that we will go for the what is dynamic neural network model. There are two network model, particularly static and dynamic. So we need more with the dynamic neural networks because it has many features and it can solve many complex problems, so that we prefer only dynamic neural networks. And after that we will see what is the stability properties of new artificial neural networks. Okay, so this is the history of neural networks. It was developed year by year. Actually it started in the 1940s, but after 1943 Mikulak's model was introduced as the first formal, they have introduced the first formal definition on biological neural networks, right? And later in 1949, Hebb introduced the neural networks, and it is the most famous and oldest of all the neural networks. And after that in 1957, Rosenblatt has given the concrete definition of the neural network model. And after that, Hopefield in 1982, probably Hopefield introduced the new version of neural networks, and it is multi-layer. It is similar to multi-layer perceptron, right? And after Rosenblatt, because Rosenblatt introduced a multi-layered model, and there is no multi-layer perceptron. So after Rosenblatt model, the multi-layer perceptron was it has some learning learning algorithm. So to overcome such issue, 1974 Verbose introduced back propagation algorithm consisting of 3-layer perceptron model. And in 1986 a multi-layered perceptron was introduced by Rumelhart and Michelland. And in 1982, actually Hopefield brought out his idea of a neural network. It can be seen in his seminal work. And Hopefield network consists of only one layer, but all the neurons are fully connected with each other. That is, it is fully connected neural network, right? And in 1988, radial basis function network was introduced by Broomhead and Levy. So they opened actually a new frontier in the recent days neural network community. Okay, in 1982, the self-organizing map was introduced by Kohanan. Okay, and it was originated from learning vector quantization property. And after that, we will see what is this is the development of neural networks. Today, the recent development of neural networks is deep learning. We are in deep learning era. Okay. So now we will see what is a neural network. What is the formal definition? Actually, neural network is a machine that is designed to model the way in which the brain performs a particular task or function of interest. Actually, the network is usually implemented by using electronic components or simulated in the form of software on a digital computer. Okay. And as we know, artificial neural network is an information processing paradigm. It is inspired by the biological neural nervous system, like brain process the information, right? Here, the key idea of this paradigm is nothing but the novel structure of the information processing system. Actually, it is composed of large number of highly interconnected processing elements called neurons, and they are working in union to solve the specific problems. But artificial neural networks, like human beings, learn by example, and artificial neural network is specially configured for particular applications like pattern recognition and data classification and pattern association, like that, right? And here, learning in biological system involves adjusting the synaptic connections existing between the neurons. The same scenario will happen in the artificial neural networks also. Okay. So generally, a neural network is nothing but a massively parallel distributed processes, and it is made up of simple processing unit called neurons. Okay. Actually, the neuron resembles the brain in two aspects. I mean, artificial neural network resembles brain in two aspects. First one is actually knowledge is acquired by the network from its environment by means of a learning process. Okay. That gained knowledge is usually stored in the intraneuron connection strength. It is also known as synaptic weights. Okay. Generally, artificial neural network is characterized by its architecture and training learning algorithms and activation functions. We will see one by one later. And next, why we have to go for neural networks? What are the advantages of neural networks? It has some non-linearity mechanism. Actually, the neuron can be linear, non-linear, but a neural network consisting of interconnected neurons will become a non-linear model, right? And input-output mapping for a given set of labeled training samples, we will get the output by means of some learning paradigms, right? And adaptivity, it has the adaptivity to change its weights according to the surrounding environment, right? So it is one of the benefits of neural networks. And next thing is evidential response. So it will give the proper decision. Okay. And the contextual information, it is that is knowledge is represented by the structure and activation state of neural networks, and also the neural networks are inherently fault tolerant, and it is capable of doing robust computation. So these are some of the main benefits of neural networks, and also the uniformity of analysis and design. It is also one of the main advantages of neural networks, like VLSI, that is very large scale integrate implementability. So the neural networks has a massively parallel structure, no? And that massively parallel structure itself makes neural network to compute complicated problems. Okay. Next one. Next is see what is a human brain, how the biological system, neural system works, and how the artificial neural network systems is framed by means of that biological systems. Usually we know a human brain is a three-stage system. First one is receptors, neural end, and effectors. Actually, receptors receives the signals and it converts the stimuli from the human body. And after that, effectors convert that received electrical impulses into system outputs, right? So these things will be done in the human brain. And next we see what is the structural organization of levels in the brain. So actually this flowchart gives the organization levels of structural levels of organization of the human brain. Central nervous system and interregional circuits, local circuits, neurons, dendritic trees, and neural microcircuits, and synapses and molecules. Actually, this is a unique characteristics of a human brain. It is nowhere this can be found in a digital computer. Okay, this is the unique feature of a human brain. Next, we see what is a basic neuronal system. That is biological neuronal system. As we all know, basic building of the central nervous system, including brain, retina, spinal cord, is the neuron. So actually, the biological cell receives and processes information and then communicates with various parts of the human body, right? And the nerve cell body is called the soma and is surrounded by, this is soma, and it is surrounded by the thin plasma membrane filled with the cytoplasm. Actually, there are mainly four basis elements involved in a neuron. Within soma, there is a cell nucleus, and each nerve cell receives many inputs through the dendrites. See, these are dendrites, and it works as a receptors, like receiving signals, okay, from other neurons. And after some processing, it generates a single output along its axon. So the processed information is transmitted through this axon to another neuron. This junction point is called the junction point. Like these junction points, see, are called the dendrites. Sorry, are called the synapses. So this is the basic structure of the biological neural model. Okay. And based on this structure, an analog model of artificial neural networks is constructed as like this, right? Here, this is the simple neural model. This is like in terms of information processing, an individual neuron with the dendrites, see, as multiple input terminals, and the axon as the single output terminal. This is like multiple input and single output neural system. Okay, so it is divided into 4 categories. First one is here it is dendrites, snaps, soma, axon. So here the dendrites consist of highly branching tree or of fibers, and the snaps, it is nothing but it is working as a storage area of the past experience. And the third one is soma. So it is a round cell body. It is large round central neuronal body, and it receives the synaptic information and performs for further processing of the information. Here all the logical functions are carried out in this soma only, right? Axon, this is axon. The neural input line is called the axon. Actually, the output appears in the form of action potential, and it is transmitted to other neurons for further processing. Okay. Here, this is the schematic structure of a basic artificial neural model, right? Here we will see the function of every term, that is. See, next we will see what is the difference between basic neuronal model and of the artificial neuronal model and biological neuronal model. Actually, regarding speed, neural networks are faster in processing information, but biological neurons are slow in processing information. And next, in terms of processing, the many programs have large number of instructions, so they operate in a sequential mode, one after the other. But in case of biological neural networks, it operates massively parallel operations. Unlike size and complexity, regarding size and complexity, this artificial neural network will not perform complex pattern recognition. But in case of biological neural network, as it has 10 power 11 neurons, it has the size and the complexity, and it has the capability of doing complex pattern recognition. And storage, regarding storage, this has only limited storage. So if the new information is stored in the same location, then it will destroy the previous information. Whereas in the biological network, the previous information will be retained once the new information is addressed, saved. And fault tolerance, artificial neural networks inherently are not fault tolerant, but biological neural networks are fault tolerant. And this has some control mechanism, whereas the previous biological model, it has no control mechanism, right? So next we will see. Okay. The basis elements. What are the basis elements involved in an artificial neural network? There are as process information processing unit elements. So first one is weight or strength of its own, and the next one is an adder, which is acting as a summation function, and it receives the input signals, and the input signal multiplied the weight will give you the weighted sum, and it is performed by the adder, that is summing function. And next one is the received net input is applied to the activation function for getting the output. So these three are the main actions taken place in the artificial neural networks, right? And next we see, this is the basic neuronal model with the functional details. So here x1, x2, etc. represents, as we have seen in the previous slide, it is, they represent input signals, and these are the synaptic weights are between the connection links, and this is summing junction, and this is the activation function. Once the output is, net input is applied to activation function, it will reflect the output value. We will see one by one what is a weight, how it is chosen. Actually, we all know neural network consists of large number of simple processing elements called neurons, and these neurons are connected to each other by means of directed communication links. And these links are associated with some weight. Those weights are called the synaptic weights or connection weights. And why we have to use the weight? Actually, weight is an information used by the neural network to give the expected output, right? And how we can calculate the net input? So we have to multiply the input signal with the weights, and we have to take the sum of all the products. So we will get x1 wk. This is, for example, this is a kth neuron. This is a neuronal model of a single neuron. Say, for example, it is for kth neuron. So the sum output given by x1 into wk1 plus x2 wk2 plus etc. xm wkm. It is simply written as sigma I is equal to 1 to m w ki. Okay, so that net input, once it is applied to this summing junction, we will get the local induced field, or called it as net input. Okay. Next, we will see what is the role of activation function and why we need activation function. Actually, activation function is mainly used to calculate the output response of your neuron. Okay. The sum of the weighted input signal is applied with an activation to obtain the response. For neurons in same layer, same activation functions are used. And there are different types of linear and non-linear activation function. Depending upon the neural network model, we can choose either linear or non-linear. Mostly for multiple layer networks, non-linear activation functions are commonly used. First type of function is, this is identity function, one of the type of activation functions. It is called a threshold, or it is called a linear function. It has the value 1 if the value v, that is the net input, is greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 if the net input is negative. And there are some more linear function like step function, I'm sorry, identity function, and piecewise linear function. For example, you take this one as piecewise linear function. Okay. And the shape of the piecewise linear function will take this form. And what are the non-linear activation functions? It is mainly sigmoid function is the non-linear activation function. But there are two types. One is binary sigmoidal function and bipolar sigmoidal function. So for binary sigmoidal function, this function is mainly used as the binary sigmoidal function because it ranges over 0 and 1. It is also called the logistic function. Okay, this is like a shaped curve. This A is called the steepness parameter or slope parameter. And the next type is bipolar sigmoid function. It is nothing but hyperbolic tangent function. Mainly hyperbolic tangent function is used as the sigmoidal function, non-linear activation function, because it ranges between -1 and +1. So if you want the limitation of the output in between -1 and +1, then bipolar sigmoidal function may be used. If you want to restrict the output in between 0 and 1, then you can choose this type of activation, that is logistic activation function. Okay. Next, we will see what is a bias. Here we have seen this activation functions, and here there is another input signal is there. It is called bias. Why we have to take bias in our networks? Actually, bias act as the weight on a connection from a unit whose activation is 1. Increasing bias will increase the net input to B plus. Here it is, suppose you take for kth neuron, the bias is taken as BK, then the total input will be increased by the quantity BK, right? So the total input is now x1 wk1 plus x2 wk2 plus etc. xm wkm plus we have the one more bias term bk. So that will be the net input for a bias model. So why we have to use bias? If we use the bias, then it will improve the performance of the network. Okay. And also how the weights are initialized here, including bias. Actually, the weights are initialized, and the weights are in the initial stage are said to be 0 mostly. Then after training and learning process, that weights will be adjusted based on the training processing. Similarly, bias has to be initialized. like weights. Okay. Then after that, we will go for the stochastic model of a neuron. Why we have to have stochastic some application field? It is also needed to have the stochastic neuronal model. Okay. So here, if the required amount of information is received, then the neuron cell will fire. In that case, the state of the neuron is represented by the probability with the probability value 1 if with the probability P of E, and the neuron state will take -1 with the probability 1 minus P of E. This is the activation function to be taken for the stochastic model. Okay. And also neural network can be viewed as directed graph. Why we have to represent neural network in terms of graphs? Because these neural networks may simplified may be given in a simplified form if it is given in terms of directed graphs. Okay. For that purpose, we are representing neural network in terms of directed graphs. Here we have used the signal flow graph. Okay. We have represented neural network in terms of signal flow graphs, right? Without ignoring the functional details of the neural networks. That is the main idea here. And here the flow of signals will have 3 basic rules. In rule 1, signal flows along a link only in the direction defined by the arrow. Okay, it will not be changed. And there are different types of links. First one is synaptic links. It is governed by linear input-output relation, because here the input signal is xj and the associated connection weight is kj. So multiplying this input with the corresponding weights, it will produce the output signal. That is yk. Here no nonlinearity involves. Whereas in the case of activation links, it is given by the nonlinear input-output, because here the xj input signal is when it is applied to the activation function. Activation function, we prefer mostly nonlinear function. So when this is applied into this, and input is applied to the activation function, actually the output will become in terms of nonlinear term. Okay. So this is called nonlinear input-output relation here. And the rule second, node signal enters the algebraic sum of all the signals. Similarly, the signal at a node is transmitted to each outgoing link. Okay. These are the basic rules when we convert a neural network in terms of the directed graph. Okay. So this is the structure of the directed graphs of a neural network. Here simply we have, here the input signals are taken to be nodes. Vertices, and the connection links are taken to be the edges, right? Okay. Okay, next we will see what are the network architecture, what is the network architecture and how it is framed, it is arranged. Actually, neural network consists of many layers because of its arrangement of neurons into layers and the pattern of connection within and in between the layers. Okay. So the neurons within a layer may be found to be fully interconnected or not necessarily interconnected. Okay, depending upon the interconnection of the neurons within the layers and in between the layers, we can have 3 types of layers. First one is input layer, second one is hidden layer, and third one is output layer. Actually, in input layer, the input units are fed into the network. And in the hidden layer, the activation of hidden unit is determined by the activities of the input units and the weights and the connection between input and hidden. And in the case of output layer, the activity of output unit depends upon the activity of hidden as well as the weights between hidden output. Here for hidden layer, it is from input and hidden. For output, it depends upon the hidden and output units. Okay. Okay, this is the basic structure of neural network involving 3 layers. Here, this represents the input layer. The middle layer represents the hidden layer. This is that is, other than the input layer and output layer are necessary. Other than the input and output, there may be 1 or more hidden layers according to our model. So this is a simple architecture of the neural network having the 3 layers. And this is the network with the functional details with 3 layers, right? With more than one hidden layer, right? Okay, next we see single layer perceptron. What is a single layer perceptron? Actually, the perceptron neural network was framed in the year 1950, as we have seen in the first slide. Okay. It consists of only one layer, that is input layer. No hidden layer is available in this type of network. Okay. It is a very simplest form of all the neural networks. And it is mainly used for pattern classification. And next one, multi-layer perceptron. Here the neurons are arranged in layer by layer basis. So it also has some hidden layers in between input and output layers. Okay. So based on the availability of layers, the neural network can be classified into many types. The first one is single layer feed forward networks. That a single layer means that it is feed forward network. We have three kind of networks: feed forward and feed backward and recurrent single layer feed forward and multi-layer feed forward and recurrent neural networks. Okay. So generally there are only two, feed forward as well as feed backward. In feed forward, we have two main things, that is single layer and multiple layer. So what is a single layer feed forward neural network? It consists of only one input layer, right? This is strictly feed forward or acyclic type. And what is multi-layer feed forward neural network? It has in between the input and output layer, it will also have one or more hidden layers. Okay. And what is recurrent neural networks? Actually, the recurrent neural networks is the simplest of neural network architecture. Here, all the units are connected to the all other units, and each unit act as both input as well as output units. And this is very much useful in the processing of sequential information, right? Okay. And other than this, we have also competitive neural network. In the competitive neural, it is also one kind of feed backward neural network. And the recurrent neural network is the feedback networks. In this network, all the units are connected, all the neurons are connected with all other neurons. It is called fully recurrent neural networks. And there are some other models in recurrent neural networks like competitive neural networks, in feedback neural. They are competitive neural networks, Joda neural networks, and there are many other networks. Okay. And next we will go for learning process. Actually, it is called as why we need to go with the training learning process. Actually, for neural networks, we have to adjust the weights to get the desired information. I mean, desired output. Okay. In that case, method of setting the value of the weights will enable to go for the process of learning and training. The process of modifying the weights in the connection between network layer with the objective of achieving the expected response is called training a network. Okay, training means the adjustment of weight to get the required output. And the internal process that takes place while training is called the learning process. Okay. So learning and training both are the same. Training is the actually the internal process is while training, the internal process called the learning process. Okay, we will see first one by one what are the learning first, and we will training first, and we will go for learning next. There are three types of learning depending its nature. First one is supervised learning, and second one is unsupervised learning, and third one is reinforcement learning. What is unsupervised learning? Actually, supervised learning or supervised training. Okay. It is the process of providing network with a series of sample inputs and comparing the output with the expected response. Here, there may be the target output may be available in this type of networks. So it is mainly used for pattern association as well as pattern recognition problems. And in unsupervised learning, If for the training input vectors, the target output is not known. In the previous supervised learning, the target output may be known. Here in unsupervised learning, for the training input vector, there is no target output. Okay, that kind of supervised learning is called unsupervised learning. And here the unsupervised networks are also called self-learning networks because they have the ability to carry out self-learning without teacher. That is training without teacher. And reinforcement learning, this is nothing but, this is similar to supervised learning, and here it is assumed that a teacher to be present, but the right answer is not presented, but the neural network is instructed to check whether the output answer is right or wrong. This type of learning is called learning or training is called reinforcement learning. Okay, these three are the training processing involving in neural networks. And similarly for learning process, there are some of the learning rules. First one is Hebbian learning. So learning is nothing but a process by which free parameters of the neural network are adapted through a process of simulation. Okay, through the environment. So in learning rules, we have first one Hebbian learning rule. This is a very old and most famous Hebbian Hebbian rule, and it consists of two rules. If two neurons on either side of synapse are activated simultaneously, then the connection, the connection strength between those two neurons should be increased. Whereas if the two neurons on either side of synapse are activated asynchronously, then the connection strength between those two neurons should be decreased. This is the main logic behind the Hebbian learning network. And the next one, we will see perceptron learning. Actually, perceptron learning is the connection path is trained to adjust the weight. And the delta learning rule, there are two types of delta learning rule. Delta learning rule for a single input and delta learning rule for multiple outputs. And the competitive learning. And the next one is outside learning and Boltzmann learning. It is the machine learning. Okay. Next, we will go for, these are some of the comparison between computers and neural network. There is one CPU and a standard computer, and a neural network is a massively parallel distributor, and it has fast processing unit, and the neural network compared to computer, it has only slow processing. And here in computer, we are having reliable, and in case of neural networks, we have unreliable. And here infrastructure is only static, and in neural networks, the infrastructure is dynamic. So these are all some of the differences. And again, we can see the brain versus a digital computer. This has been seen already. And next we will go for network parameters. What are the network parameters involved in construction of neural networks and how they can be chosen? They can be initialized and they can be processed. So first we will see how the weights are initialized. And second one is how many hidden layers we have to choose for a neural networks and how many examples we have to have in the training set, right? And regarding weights, the weights should be randomly chosen. So mostly the weights can be chosen in between -1 and +1. If necessary, we can choose in between the range -0.5 and +0.5. Okay. So based upon the weight selection, there are two types of networks, and the fixed networks, here the weights are fixed, and for adaptive networks, the weights can be changed randomly. And size of training data, how many training data we have to select. So training examples should be at least 5 to 10 times to the number of weights of the network. Okay, according to the weights, we have to select the number of training samples. And so these three are the main things to be considered when we go for neural network. Okay. And next we will go for static and dynamic neural networks. What is static and dynamic neural network? We have seen that there are two types of network, feed forward and feed backward. Actually, in case of feed forward networks, there is no, this memoryless networks, because their present response is independent of the previous state. Okay, present state of the neuron is independent of the previous state. Here, the state of the neuron depends only on the present input. So it is called static type neural networks or feed forward neural networks. And another one is dynamic neural networks. What is a dynamic neural? Actually, the feedback neural networks are also called recurrent neural networks or the nonlinear dynamical systems, because the present state of the neuron is also depending upon the previous state of the neuron, which is not the case in static neural network, that is feedbackward neural networks. Okay. And compared to static neural networks, dynamic neural networks will have the nonlinear property and it will have more advantages than static neural networks. So the dynamic neural networks are mainly preferred for our theory, I mean our work. So this is the generalized dynamic neural unit model. So the dynamic neural, this is the single dynamic neural unit. Here, this is developed based on the RC, that is resistor conductor circuit theory. Okay, it is based from the electrical circuit theory. So based on electrical circuit theory, this model was structured from the artificial neuron model, and based on this, a dynamic neural unit equation model is represented. Here, this is the general mathematical model from the previous figure, and using the circuit theory, this equation, differential equation, is modeled for the ith dynamic. So actually, a dynamic neural unit is represented in terms of the differential equations, is modeled in terms of the differential equations. Okay, that is neural networks are nothing but the particular kind of differential equations, non-linear differential equations. So here, XA represents the augmented vector of neuronal states, and WAI represents the connection weights of the new connection links. Okay, and this is YI of T represent the expected output. Okay, here based on the feedback connections, the neurons may be arranged with multiple nonlinear feedback or single nonlinear feedback. This is the equation representing the neuron with the multiple nonlinear feedback. Here we are having the multiple times nonlinear function sigma of bi x of t. So vector form, this can be transformed into this one. And this is the structure for the previous equation. Here we have multiple activation function and multiple feedback connections, right? See, this is one thing, A1, A2, etc. AN are having multiple feedback connections. And what is this equation represents? Yes, the equation, the governing equation of a single dynamical neural unit, right? Here, this equation will give you the complete equation for describing a neural network. Okay. So based on the time space, we can have two different kind of neural networks. That is, one is continuous time dynamic neural networks, discrete time dynamic neural networks. So what is continuous time dynamic neural network? Here, the network evolution is a continuous process. And suppose the network evolution process is a discrete case, then the discrete time dynamic neural network has been used. So this is the model of discrete time dynamic neural network. Here, x of k plus 1 takes, that is f of x of k, u of k, w. Here, kth moment is k plus 1th moment is expressed in terms of kth moment, that is previous moment. Here, x dot of t, dx of t by dt represent the derivative of x of t with respect to t. So this involves because this is a continuous case, this model involves the differential equation. Because this equation represents the discrete time model, it represents the difference equation. This is difference equation, this is differential equation. Okay. And what is a Hopfield dynamic neural? Based on the electrical circuit theory, Hopfield in the year 1984 developed this model. This is the basic model of all the neural networks. So general form of Hopfield neural networks is given by this one. Here the Ci is taken into the another constant. Ci is divided throughout, and after some simplification, this equation 4 is obtained. So this is the dynamic model developed by Hopefield in 1984. So in vector form, we can also write the previous equation. This is in see the excite. This is for ith neuron, where I suppose we take I is equal to 1 to etc. n. Then this can be represented in terms of vectors and matrices as given here. So this is very simple process. Just we can substitute x1, x2, etc. We have for here 1 minute. So here we are having for I is equal to 1, we have one differential equation. For I is equal to 2, we are having another differential equation. So for each I is equal to 1 to etc. n, we are having different differential, that is n differential equation. That is, we have a system of differential equations. We know how to write the system of differential equation in terms of matrix. Based on that, we can transform that previous system of equations into a single equation with the vector form. Okay. And this is another model. After Hopefield, that Pineda model was developed in this form based on that Hopefield model. Here, this represents the vector form of this model. And the next one is Cohen-Grossberg model of dynamic neural networks. It is the generalized model of that Hopefield and Pineda model. So we will move to stability analysis. There are also some other neural networks like bidirectional associative memory neural networks and comparative neural networks. We can go for several neural networks based on its structure, and why we should have different neural network models. Each neural network model will have its own merit. So each individual neural network can be used for different purposes. Okay. So it cannot be generalized in a single model. So for different type of neural network, we will have different type of models. And for different type of problems, we can use different type of neural networks based on the problem. Okay. Next one, we will go to our core topic, that is stability analysis. Why we need to study the stability of neural networks? Actually, neural networks are nothing but the particular kind of differential system, right? A neural network is modeled in terms of the differential system. Whenever we are having a differential equation, we should know about its qualitative structures like stability, oscillation, and for all those things, we need to find the solution of the differential equation. So a differential equation without its qualitative behavior and without solution is meaningless. We cannot do anything with that differential equation. So for that, we have to analyze the existence of solution of a differential equation and its qualitative behavior for that differential equation. So as the neural networks are converted in terms of, or modeled in terms of differential system, we have studied the stability properties of that neural system. Okay. So first we will see, we have studied stability and passivity. Now in this session, I will give you only stability, and the passivity is a particular kind of stability. Okay. So now we will see the basic qualitative behavior, that is stability here. And what is stability? Stability, suppose you are having a system. You are having a differential system. Then its equilibrium state is stable if the initial state remains near to the equilibrium state as time increases. That is the equilibrium, that is the initial state should be near to the equilibrium state when t increase, that is time, when time goes. What is unstable? The system, the equilibrium state of a system is said to be unstable if the initial system moves far away from the system, far away from the equilibrium state. That is, when the initial state of the system approaches the equilibrium state, it is close to, near to equilibrium state, then it is called stability, and that equilibrium state is in stable motion. And if the system, that is equilibrium, initial state is for going far away from the equilibrium state as time goes, then that kind of, then in that state we will say that system or that equilibrium state is unstable. Okay, what is asymptotic stability and asymptotic stability? Asymptotic stability is stronger stability. Stronger stability means the stability, just the initial state remains near to the equilibrium state, it is enough. But for asymptotic stability, the equilibrium state should reach the initial state should reach the equilibrium state. That is, it is very close to equilibrium state. So see this, suppose you take a bowl, if you keep a ball inside in the bottom of bowl, and if you give a small disturbance, that it will move, it will slide up and down, and it will, after some time, that is when time goes, then that ball will settle down at the previous position. That is, it is close to the equilibrium state. And in this case, take a bowl, and you keep the bowl reversed. If you put the ball on the top of this bowl, then it will slide down and it will go away from the bowl. But initially it was here, but after some time it will go away from the initial state. This is called the unstable behavior of the equilibrium state. And here, if you move this ball slightly, if you disturb this ball slightly, it will go here or it will go here. But anyhow, it will not go, because you are giving only small disturbance, not very large disturbance. You are touching the ball slightly. Then it will move to this place, or it will move to this place, that anyhow it is close to the initial, original position. So this is called stable. This is example for asymptotical stability. This is example for instability. This is example for stability. Actually, asymptotic stability is stronger than stability. Okay. So as in the previous case, it was given in terms of neighborhoods. Okay. So this is the 0 is taken as the equilibrium state. Here x0 is the initial state. So if the x0 moves towards 0, that is, if it reaches 0, then in that case the stability is called asymptotic stability. If x0 is moving, but anyhow close to 0, it is close to equilibrium, this is called stability. And if x0 moves away from that domain, moves away from that region, then it is called the unstable behavior of the equilibrium state. Okay. Now this is the single, a small example to analyze what are the equilibrium points. If this is a nonlinear differential equation, you know how to solve this nonlinear differential equation by using separation of variables. Once you solve this equation, you will have the solution as x0 e power minus t. After, so if you substitute different initial conditions, you will have different curves. So first you take the linear equation and solve it, and you take the nonlinear part and solve it by separation of variables. And here for linear equation, you have only one single equilibrium point. So equilibrium means what? What is an equilibrium state? Actually, the equilibrium, the state is said to be an equilibrium state if the system state of the system remains forever in that state. That is, it is constant. That is, dx by dt is constant at that particular point. Okay. So here 0 is the equilibrium point. Here for the nonlinear system, if you consider, you can see there are two equilibrium points, 0 and 1. Okay. So if it has multiple equilibrium points, then we cannot analyze. So in linear case, it is easy, but in nonlinear case, to analyze the equilibrium state is a little bit difficult. Okay. So we have to go for having the stability of nonlinear system. So what is a nonlinear system? Actually, the nonlinear system is generally represented in this form x dot equal to f of x comma t, and this is said to be. And what is a linear system? Here it is generally expressed in the form of f of x comma t, where f is nonlinear. This is x is dependent variable and t is independent variable. So in this case, x may appear as a nonlinear term, right? So this equation will be represented in terms of nonlinear equation. And here for linear system, the system will be converted to this form, x dot equal to a of tx. Suppose we are having n system of equations, then if you take the system one as the variable in system one as x1, variable in system as x2, etc. xn, then after taking the vector form and matrix form, you can reduce that n equation into a single equation, single vector equation. This you all know this type of equation, converting this equation. Okay, this is the nonlinear, linear differential system. So this nonlinear system once is said to be autonomous if it time does not reflect explicitly. Okay, that the system is independent of time. Then it is said to be, in the system time factor is not explicitly given, then it is said to be autonomous. Okay, similarly, if in the system the time is explicitly given, it is called non-autonomous. Okay, here I have already told you what is equilibrium state. If once x of t is equal to x star, it remains equal to the same state for all the future time. It will never change its state from x star. So that is called the equilibrium state. So this is the simple example for linear system, and it's equilibrium state. So you can solve by yourself. It is a simple equation. Just for example, I have given you for easy understanding. Next one, you will see the definition of analytical definition, abstract definition of stableness and unstableness and asymptotic stableness, right? Suppose equilibrium status taken to be 0. In most of the cases, the equilibrium status, whatever may be the equilibrium, if it is not even 0, that may be converted to 0 by transforming the equation. Okay. If x star is the equilibrium state and x of t is the state of the system, then the system may be transformed into y of t is equal to x of t minus x star. Now y of t will become a new system for which the equilibrium state will be 0. Okay. In most of the problem, for a simple computation, we have transformed the equilibrium state into the 0 equilibrium state. Okay. So most of the definitions may be given in given if the equilibrium state is 0. So suppose we have the system as before, then x equal to 0 is said to be stable if that is x of 0 is very close to 0. Within if x of 0 is of distance less than r from 0, then x of t will be of some finite distance r from 0. Okay, so this is called a stable. That is 0 is the equilibrium state. Your initial condition, that is initial state, that is x of 0 should be close with r distance close to 0. Here, your state of the system at any time will be close to 0 of radius smaller than some capital R. So this is the definition of stableness as given mentioned earlier. And next we will see the definition of asymptotic stability. So equilibrium point is said to be asymptotically stable if it reaches, okay, as t tends to infinity, your initial state should reach your, and what there is one more stability called exponential stability. What is exponential stability? Actually, it is the stronger version of asymptotic stability. That is, norm x of t is less than alpha norm x of 0 in t power minus lambda t for every t, then the system is said to be exponentially stable, or the equilibrium point is said to be exponentially stable. Here, when t tends to 0, this t tends to infinity, this term will become 0. So obviously, norm x of t tends to 0. See, this is the case. So exponential stability is the generalized form of the asymptotic stability. It is faster conversion. There is no difference other than that. Actually, both are converging to the equilibrium state. Both states that the state of the system converges to the equilibrium state after t tends to infinity, that is when t is larger. But here exponential stability means it gives a faster convergence to 0 than asymptotic stability convergence, right? So this is a simple example to test the asymptotic stability, exponential stability. And what is the stability analysis? There are different approaches to analyze the stability condition. Phase plane approach, differential geometry, and stability, and there are some more system, but eigenvalue is only adapted for linear system. It is not suitable for non-linear system. Okay, because non-linear system have multiple equilibrium points and limit cycles. So, and also stability behavior of non-linear system is not necessarily always global. It is only local. So in these three conditions, in these three methods for stabilizing analyzing the stability of neural networks or system, Lyapunov stability theory is mostly preferred because it requires no solution. I mean, it doesn't need the solution of the differential equation, that is the solution of the neural networks. Without finding the solution, we can directly analyze this stability by using Lyapunov stability theory. But whereas in the case of phase plane approach and differential geometry, we have to have the explicit solution of the differential equation. Then only we can analyze the stability But in case of Lyapunov stability theory, the solution, explicit solution, is not necessary. Okay, this is the advantage of Lyapunov stability theory. And for example, consider this is the already, as we have already seen, this is the general structure of the continuous time neural network. Here, this looks like a nonlinear differential system. And as we studied before, we know what is the stability and asymptotic stability for the nonlinear system. So we can apply the same definition to this neural network also. So here the equilibrium state of this neural network is nothing but the constant x star, where our function f of x star u of t w is equal to 0. So this is the equilibrium state of the neural network 5, and this is the definition. So as we have already seen the stability definition with the 0, here x star is taken to be the equilibrium state. So here we are, instead of x of 0, we have norm x of 0 minus x star. That is, your x of 0 should be near to x star. Then your state of the system should be near x star within epsilon radius. And this is asymptotically stable kind of definition. And similarly, we can define the even exponential stability definition. Okay. And why we have to go for Lyapunov stability theory? Actually, this is the general approach for studying stability of nonlinear system as well as the neural networks. As I told you earlier, it needs no explicit solution of the concerned nonlinear system or neural networks. Okay. So there are two methods. One is Lyapunov linearization method, that is indirect method or direct method. So these two methods are available for finding the stability of neural networks. And in the linearization method, that is indirect method, we can have only local stability, not the global stability. Okay, for the direct method is not restricted to local domain. So we can use direct method to analyze the stability of the nonlinear system globally also. Okay, how can we analyze the stability? By using Lyapunov direct indirect methods. First, we have to find the Jacobian of the equilibrium point. Suppose x star, first you have to find the equilibrium point. Suppose x star is the equilibrium point of our previous neural network. Then the Jacobian is given by this formula, that is partial derivative of f of t x of t with respect to x. So you have to find this Jacobian, and you have to take the eigenvalues of the Jacobian matrix. If the eigenvalues of your Jacobian matrix is strictly negative, then our state x star is asymptotically stable for the that is, our neural network is asymptotically stable. If any one of your eigenvalue, I mean real part of the eigenvalue of j of x star is positive, then it becomes unstable. Okay, based on this method, we can analyze the stability of our considered model, I mean considered neural networks. Okay, but for Lyapunov stability theory, we need to have one function which is called a Lyapunov function or energy function. So what is a Lyapunov function or energy function? It is a function from the domain D to R, where D is a subset of R power n. Okay, because we are having vector valued functions. So we have a function V from D to R power n. This is said to be positive definite if these two conditions are satisfied. If these two conditions are satisfied, that is, it should be 0 at 0, and it should be strictly positive except 0 in the domain, in the complete domain D. Then this kind of function is said to be positive definite. Similarly, if it is greater than or equal to, then it is called positive semi-definite, and vice versa. That means your V is positive definite, minus V is negative definite. Similarly, if your V function is negative semi-definite, then V is, I mean minus V is negative semi-positive definite. Okay. And this function is needed while we are doing the Lyapunov stability for our neural networks. Okay, what is the role of this function? Let us check it. For example, this is the smallest, this is the simplest positive definite function to deal with the stability. Okay. That is, so Lyapunov second method gives the condition, sufficient condition for getting this asymptotic stability conditions. Okay. What is Lyapunov second method? That is Lyapunov direct method. Suppose x star is the equilibrium point of the neural network and V is the positive definite function. That is, V satisfies these 0 condition and positive definite condition, and this condition also. For second condition, V of x should approach infinity when norm x approach infinity. And if derivative of V is strictly negative, then we can accept that our equilibrium point x star is asymptotically, globally asymptotically stable. Okay, so this is these three conditions together give the sufficient conditions for the global asymptotic stability of the system neural network 5. And this by choosing, as I told you earlier, if you choose the V function to be x transpose qx, and after taking the derivative V dot of x is nothing but twice x dot transpose qx, and in that x dot you have to substitute your neural network model, and then take some simplification, you will attain these conditions. So this is a simple example for checking the negativity of the V dot function. And if you take this system and if you take V of x here, as given here, V is our estimated function. That is, we have to choose V as our own. And how can we choose that V function, that is energy function or positive definite function? There is no proper method to take the V function. Only by trial and error, we can choose the V function. This is the main drawback of the Lyapunov stability theory, even though it has the advantage of it has the advantage because it needs no explicit solution. But whereas at the same time we have the drawback such that the positive definite function V has to be chosen by trial and error method. We cannot have the concrete definition for choosing that V. Okay, this is a small example, and you can go through example. You can easily solve this problem. I have given all the steps involved in this problem. Okay, and next one, Lyapunov stability theory for continuous time. This is the condition for this will give you the condition for the asymptotic stability of the neural network. And similarly, you can also have, this is the exponential stability definition. Based on this definition and based on the previously chosen Lyapunov function, you can also try for this. See, this is local asymptotic condition, and also one by one we will see this is the global asymptotic stability conditions, and this is the local exponential stability conditions, and this is global exponential. So you can have the global conditions as well as local condition depending upon your neural network models and depending upon your that a positive definite function, isn't it? Okay, similarly for discrete time, you can also try for the local exponential stability, local asymptotic stability, global asymptotic stability, and the local exponential stability as well as global exponential stability. All these things can also be done for the discrete time neural network. Here the Jacobian will be the same matrix, and you can find the Jacobian, and you can also have the and based on these two conditions, you can also have the discrete time neural networks. Okay, these are some basic things you can develop based upon your neural networks considered model. You can choose your activation function, and you can choose your solving algorithm and inequality techniques, and you can obtain different conditions, and you can apply this to some examples. But this cannot be directly applied to data classification, pattern recognition, and all that. These properties will give you the dynamical behavior of your neural networks. Okay, in terms of non-linear systems. Okay, these are only the theoretical analysis of the neural networks. Okay. So next, what are the applications of neural networks? As we have seen, it has wide applications, particularly in data validation, data classification, pattern recognition, pattern association, even in image processing, data processing, and signal processing. We can have several applications of artificial neural network. Okay. So for that, we have to learn that particular topic, deep learning. Actually, machine learning, within machine learning, deep learning is one branch, and within deep learning, that is neural network is a single branch. Okay, if you go for deep learning, you can have many applications in terms by using neural networks. Okay. Okay, with this I will stop my lecture. And I hope every one of you have some knowledge and have some new direction regarding neural network research. And I thank once again, I thank everyone for giving me this nice opportunity. And also I especially thank our Professor Dafiq for giving me this time and for giving me this nice opportunity. Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Okay. Thank you.
Very fantastic presentation.
Professor.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Any questions, Professor?
Yes. We giving back to moderator.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nagamani.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for
Thank you.
inspiring talk and also informative knowledge for us about medical learning and implementation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All participants, if you have this question, you can write the question in the chat box, or you can use raise hand feature in Zoom to ask directly to the speaker. I think any question for you. We have 3 questions for participants from YouTube streaming. Yeah.
Okay.
From this Amita Bikri, we have 3 questions. The first is, how do you choose which application function to use based on the data set we have?
Okay, for data classification.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have not done any work in data classification. We have just done our work in theoretical proof. Okay. We have not used any data for data classification by using this deep learning. So we have slowly started our work in that field. Okay. I will refer some books. If I have any idea, I will send you the message to our Professor Dafiq.
Nagamani madam.
Sir.
Yeah, with your permission, I am add few words for this mistake.
Okay, sir.
The best activation function.
Best. Okay.
But I have asked, say first we have to investigate the data set and the target.
Okay.
Check the target. If the target is only 2 classes, okay, you can go for binary sigmoidal or bipolar sigmoidal aggregation function. Okay. Use more than 1, more than 2 number of classes. That means
yes.
Targets or output. Okay. So such we can go for hyperbolic transit.
Yes, Professor. Yes.
Yeah. So that activation function can use if suppose the target is infinite number of labels.
Okay.
Better go with the regression machine learning models. So this is what we can suggest for that.
Okay. Thank you for helping me, because we didn't have any experimental works. So far we have analyzed only. Yes.
That's why I have given the answer to the participants.
Yes. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, I need okay, I need some help from our resource person, yesterday's resource person. Sir, I have started only now. Now only we have studying that deep learning and other things. If I have any doubt, I will. And you will need
research article, Professor Dafiq told me. You mathematics.
Definitely, sir. Kandipa. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other question from me from the participant in YouTube streaming? How to stop the iteration of neural networks? Can we use a form like feed forward?
Sorry, I couldn't get you. Please once again.
Stop the iteration in recurrent neural network.
Yes.
Like feed forward.
Recurrent neural network.
Yeah, recurrent neural network. How to stop the iteration?
Regression.
How to stop the iteration?
I like you.
Sir, okay, thank you.
Recurrent neural network for equations
when
Yes.
of the iteration in this effect. Effect.
Okay. அதாவது நீங்க training of samples தானே சொல்றீங்க? Training of inputs. Okay, okay. But when we have to stop the training process?
Yes.
அதான்
Yes.
கேக்குறேன்.
That's what.
Sir, அது நாங்க வந்து we have not done any work with the training process. நாங்க for our stability that is not much needed. Because we have compared our results with the previous one. We have not tested any training samples or any data. That is the drawback of our work. Because we are doing only theoretical results. We have not applied it so far. Yes.
Yeah, with your permission, I will give a.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. You are welcome.
Questionnaire. See, actually, recurrent network which is suitable for time series analysis. When you are doing the doing the training based on the training sample, okay, ultimately you are going to find the best model. So the question is which effect it is going to we are going to stop. So find the minimum giving function. Okay, so when you are getting the minimal error, okay, for example, when after the 50th effect, the error will be it is close to 0.023. If suppose after 51, 52 number of effect, if the error is rising like 0.2, 0.3, no need to go further. So effect number will be iteration for that particular data set and problem. Okay. So that's I hope the questioner got understood what I have mentioned here.
Sir, you are doing deep learning problems?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Our students, one of our students has started his work. So I will ask him to contact you, and I will also need some clarification. So whenever I have doubt, I will call you, sir.
The question is on my YouTube streaming
Okay. But எனக்கு நாங்க இன்னும் டீப் லேர்னிங் அப்படிங்கறதே நாங்க இன்னும் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணவே இல்லை. நாட் இப்போதான் நாங்க வந்து பிராக்டிகல்.
Mathematically you have proved all those things.
Yes sir. நாங்க வந்து we have a lot of mathematical இதுல analysis தான் போறோம்.
How the weight change is happening in the training. I have seen your presentation.
Yes sir. But அதுவே ரொம்ப இருக்கு, இன்னும் இருக்கு. We can analyze. ஏன்னா it is a kind of differential equation அப்படிங்கனால differential equation will have wide theory. ஏன்னா அதுக்கே நம்ம நிறைய வந்து differential equation உடைய solution plus அதனுடைய periodicity, oscillation, bifurcation, so நிறைய அதிலே படிக்கலாம். அதனால நாங்க இந்த ஃபீல்ட் இந்த ட்ராக்கே நாங்க இன்னும் வரல. ஆக்சுவலி அந்த எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்டல் டேட்டா இதுக்கே நாங்க இன்னும் மூவ் பண்ணல. ஓகே. So but நாங்க we have some idea. We want to have our work in that field also. So நாங்க கண்டிப்பா உங்களை நிறைய நாங்க டிஸ்டர்ப் பண்ணுவோம். We will disturb you and okay. Thank you sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you kids. Thank you very much.
Thank you professor. Thank you so much.
Nice discussion.
Thank you Dr. Nagamani madam, who is coming from India for valuable information. She is such a wonderful resource person for further collaboration between the Nottingham University and the University of Jakarta. So
thank you.
We look forward in future, and thank you so much for your presence. Thank you.
Definitely sir, we will meet you sir. Definitely. Thank you sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Kalau di sana pagi ibu itu tidak lebih belakang. Dan tapi sebagaimana ada di sini yang ibu ada bapak dari bapak
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we go to on the last presentation of our third invited speaker, Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD from University of Jember, Indonesia. Mr. Khairul Anam, be my friend.
Yeah, I can hear your voice.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Waalaikumsalam. Okay, thank you, Prof. Rafiq, Dr. Sundar. Thank you, Prof.
Before we begin the presentation, let's read the curriculum vitae of Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD. Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD, talked about machine learning and deep learning on prediction of kinematic and force of human upper limb movement using muscle activity. Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD, is professor with 17 years experience in research specialization in control system, intelligent control system, robotic engineering, and optimal control system. Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD, have 51 publications with its index is taken from Scopus database. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our third invited speaker, Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD. For Associate Professor Khairul Anam, PhD, time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me share my presentation. Can you see my presentation, Mr. Moderator?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon there. In here still, before the Fajr is not coming yet. Maybe still in the very early morning. Thank you very much, Professor Dafiq, Dr. Sundar, and all of the committees of the first ICONNSMAL 2022. In this opportunity, I would like to share our research results on machine learning and deep learning, mostly on the application of the prediction of the kinematic and force of the human upper limb movement from the muscle activities that we collect from the electromyography signal. As the moderator mentioned that I'm associate professor, but actually still in the process. I'm still an assistant professor, and hopefully this year it will complete for the the process of the associate professor. Okay, this is my short curriculum vitae. Okay, let me continue to the outline of the presentation. Firstly, I would like to discuss about the electromyography signal, which is the muscle activity that we are collecting from, and then we go to the myoelectric control system, which is the control system that we use myoelectric signal, or someone call as electromyography signal, as the main source of the control system. And then later on we go to deep learning, machine learning, and maybe and also deep learning, and the last one is the idea of the topic, which is force and kinematic prediction. Okay, the muscle sensors, there are so many muscle sensors in the market, and we have low cost one, and this one is not the low cost one, but some people said the low cost one is not good, but luckily many publications shows that low cost also is good as a sensors. So how can we collect the signal from human, which is called as electromyography signal? This is the way. Maybe I will go to this one. There are some electrodes put on the surface of the limb of the human, and this one is there are mostly there are three electrodes, two active electrodes and one as a reference, and this is the process that is going through by the signal before at the end we can collect the data as a time series display. We can display it in the system or in the computer. Okay, then we go to the how can we use the myoelectric signal or electromyography signal for our control system. So this is the idea, and also maybe give insight about where the machine learning or deep learning take apart. In here, we can see that wait, this is the human. We collect the data from the human, and this is the signal that we are collecting. And using machine learning or later on deep learning, we can do both application, mostly classification or regression. And for the classification, we can do like pattern recognition in terms of the type of movement of the hand. So for example, we can predict from the signal the movement of hand grasping or maybe pointing or maybe pinching. Or using regression, we can predict the force elicited by the human. And these things can be done beforehand. What does it mean by beforehand? Actually, if someone give order from the brain of the human, and then it will go through finally and end up to the muscle, and then finally go to the movement of the hand, there are some delay from the brain signal until this until the movement itself. From the muscle until the movement, it takes around 300 milliseconds maximum. So if we can collect this signal and we can process it under 300 milliseconds, we can help such disabled person, for example, the amputee, we can help them to put on a robotic hand here, and we can help them to predict the movement they intended by the person and then move the hand robotic. So as if the robot will be part of the human. So this is the function of the machine learning, to predict the intention of the human beforehand. So at the end of the day, later on, we can move a assistive robotic to help the person doing something that they want to do. So we can do classification, either classification or regression. Okay, so this is the thing. There are two different things. Before as I said before, there are two parts. The first one is pattern recognition based, which is the output is type of movement. So this one, the first one. The second one is non-pattern recognition based, which is the first one is mostly classification, and the other one is regression. For the regression, we can predict the force, we can predict the kinematic of the hand, the angle of the joint on every single fingers, for example. This one we can do the regression using machine learning or either machine learning or deep learning. So this is different type of application of machine learning and also deep learning. Let's go to the first one, which is the pattern recognition base. Then this application of machine learning or deep learning is for classification. So for example, here, maybe I hope I can play this video. Okay, this pattern recognition, for example, in this video, we show you about the application of here is extreme learning machine, the part of the type of the neural network. This one is predicting the different type of fingers movement. So it is shown here in the monitor, the predicted finger movement. So someone else doing some finger activities, and then the computer try to predict. So this one is the classification application of machine learning. Okay, we can go further. So how can we do so? How can we apply the machine learning to classify or to predict the movement of the hand? So this one, we of course we need to the data for training the system, and then we do segmentation because this in time series. For example, as I said before, that the maximum the maximum duration should be less than 300 milliseconds. So we should collect the data, also we grab the data less than 300 milliseconds for doing everything here, and then we do the feature extraction, and then we do the mean serial reduction, and then we do the classification, and finally we do analysis, and also here we do the prediction. Okay, this is the thing. Okay, just go on, just keep on. Okay, this is the result. So maybe it's not so important. I just go. And this another thing that we already apply in the pattern recognition. In here, I have the video is shown in the Zoom meeting. So the machine learning, which is in here, we implement k-nearest neighborhood, try to predict different type of movement from the muscle signal, and then there are different type of the hand movement in here. This type of hand movement, there are 5 type of hand movement, is used to control this wheelchair, the movement of the wheelchair. So by doing some 5 different type of movement, the person can move the wheelchair. This one is for maybe for a disabled person that can't walk by themselves, and then if we put this muscle sensor on the hand, and then people can move around without any help from the others. So this is the idea. And then another thing is we can show as well another application before we using key nearest neighborhood, and also the sensors also a bit expensive. This one we use more cheaper sensors. This one is sensor malware. We can buy the sensor in Tokopedia around 800 probably, and then using support vector machine, we can move this wheelchair by using different type of movement. Again, it is similar as before. We try to predict different type of movement of the upper limb human body. Okay, we continue to the next one. So this is the the process. Actually, the pipeline is so similar as a general classification case. For example, data acquisition, filtering and windowing, feature extraction, dimensional reduction, and then classification, and finally maybe classification or regression, and finally we got the predicted data. Okay, we just keep going. Maybe this one is more theoretical. Okay, maybe I'm a little. I want to little bit give some insight about the dimensionality reduction. We proposed the new one. We call it spectral regression, external learning machine. This one is one of the type of dimensionality reduction and also projection. If we have a look here, for example, we have three features, and then we try to correlate these three features in 3D domain, in 3D plot. You can hear the data is not so scattered. Yeah, the data are so scattered. And then if we apply dimensional reduction, which is also the projection, we can have a look here using uncorrelated linear discriminant analysis, the data little bit in better style. They are a little bit keep in group. So this one, the green one is one of movement, the blue one. So before, so scattered, but after we doing some dimensional reduction and also projection, we have different position, the different clustering of the data in a better way. This will help the classification when they are doing the classification this process. And this is a different type also, this one and another one. And here, this is our proposed method. So we can see also, I think mostly they are so similar, but later on we can see what is the result. So this is the result. Actually, we try to propose, this is our method, SRELM. Yes, so similar. And this one, different type of movement again. This one still in classification application of machine learning in terms of pattern recognition for human activities. Okay, and then we go to the deep learning. Before I mentioned about the machine learning, now we go to the deep learning. So what is the function or the application of deep learning in this case? Most researchers try to avoid feature engineering. As I said before, there is feature extraction step that a researcher needs to do. But nowadays, by using deep learning, people try to avoid the feature extraction because deep learning itself do the feature extraction. So this is the idea. Okay, there's different type of the machine learning, LSTM, long short-term memory, and also CNN as well. This one not by us, the publication by others. I just to give you insight about this one. This one for CNN, how they do the feature learning. So here, if we can see here, actually there is feature extraction inside the CNN as we do before, but before in the past, if we are using machine learning, we need to do feature extraction. But if we are using deep learning, we do not need the feature extraction, but straight away we do the CNN will do the feature extraction by doing the learning, which is called as feature learning. Okay, this is the CNN for pattern recognition type, different type of the application. But this is still in our research, the application of CNN or deep learning for online, for real-time application is still not in good way. But I can't give the result today, but because it is still in the process. And also this conclusion, I think here in Germany, people mostly said in the same way that CNN, LSTM may be good on the paper, but not good in the real-time application for time being, for currently. So this is the last part of my presentation, which is not the second part of the application of machine learning and also deep learning in muscle activities, which is we try to apply for regression. So the idea of regression is like this. Before, we collect the signal from the muscle and then we try to predict the type of movement. But the problem is, if we just predict the type of movement, maybe the movement so limited, maybe only 5, maybe maximum 10. If we just get the 10 movement, in the real time, the type of movement of human is so huge. So we can rely on the pattern recognition side or on classification application of machine learning in predicting the muscle. No, then researchers now is going to different side, which is try to apply regression application of the machine learning and deep learning into predict the kinematic, also the force of the hand movement. By using this one, we can predict many type of movement because we try to predict for example, the angle of the joint of the finger, for example, or the force which is elicited by the human. This is more beneficial for us in the future. And this one of the application actually so similar as classification. We just replace the classification side with the regressor, and also we need different data. For example, the target. Before we just need the type of movement, but nowadays we need kinematic of the joint angle for sure for the target. So this one is the muscle, and this one is for the different type of kinematic movement. So we can do the similar thing as the classification side, but again, the output is the prediction of the angle of every single joint in our finger. Okay, this is the prediction result. The R2 maybe it's not mentioned here. What is the R2 value? But it's maybe around 0.8 or 0.9. So we can predict every single joint in the finger joint of a human. And nowadays we are proposing the new method using deep learning, CNN plus KRO. The idea is same, which is try to predict the different joint of angles. This one is the result. Okay, this also the predicted one is the yellow one, and the blue one is the ground truth. Okay, about the CNN, before we applied the LSTM, this one is for the CNN. Actually, the CNN is good for image, but now these people trying to apply CNN for time series prediction or for signal prediction like this, but it's not ours. Okay, this is the result. So this promising, and okay. Now we are going to prediction of hand grip force. So actually, again, everything is similar, the pipeline. So this is like a normal pipeline for doing machine learning or deep learning. So data, and then do filtering, and do feature extraction, and then apply regressor, and then also we can predict the hand force. In this case, we use extreme learning machine, not the deep learning side. So, and as you can see, the blue one is the force target, and the red one or yellow one is the predicted force. It's not so good because this one is the real-time side. Okay, so if we do the offline side, maybe it is so good, but this one is we are trying to do it in real time. So this is for the data collection. Okay, maybe just keep going. So this is, we are trying to move the robotic hand. The force elicited by the human is using to move the robotic hand, and here exoskeleton hand. Okay, we move the other one. This one also CNN. This one still the process for drafting the article. We implement CNN for estimating the force hand grip. Okay, so this is the pipeline. This is the signal from the EMG, and then we do the filtering, we do the windowing, and this one actually it is like so similar to the feature extraction. Root mean square, it is part of the feature extraction. Mean absolute value also part of the feature extraction. Also, we apply raw data as well. So actually, the idea of deep learning is try to avoid this RMS and MAV. But again, in some occasion, we still need this feature extraction, but in simple way, not in so complex way. Okay, this is the result for the R2. So the CNN, this one, the CNN, LSTM, random forest, then this one is machine learning. This one, the result that we got, and then this for the RMS, and this one for the offline prediction using RMS, this one using mean absolute value. This one the real-time side. So the real-time side is not so not so accurate, but okay, still we got the signal in better way. And this one is if we try to move the robotic hand in here, we can see this one is the bottle. We can see the different in the shape of this plastic glass. You can see if we apply a more force, we can see the different shape of the plastic glass. Okay, so this one, the source of the information is from the EMG signal, which is predicted as force, and then we send it to the robotic hand. This one is the video. I hope you can look the video. Okay. Sorry, maybe the video is not so good. It's not running. Okay, just keep going. Okay, just keep going. Okay, this finally I'm coming to the conclusion. The idea of doing force and also kinematic prediction is actually because the pattern recognition side of the application of machine learning and deep learning in muscle activities is not so good for a clinical application. Why? Because the type of movement is so limited. And then people try to apply for doing different thing, which is regression. But again, we do some clinical trial, but again, still this one is still the problem of our research, because mostly for doing the offline side, we get very good result. But again, if we do for real time one, as I saw before to you, that real time and offline time, there are so huge differences. And then this is still of the challenge, and hopefully in the near future we can solve the problem, and then finally we can help many disabled people have better life and get different good functionality and get recover their functionality, limb functionality again. I think that's all from myself. Thank you very much. Probably there is a question, please. Thank you very much. I give back to the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Very nice. Okay. Let me have a discussion session. This nice presentation, probably from participants who are joining in Zoom and in this classroom. Have a question to Dr. Berlana. You are more than welcome to ask something. Okay, Sudan, brother, do you have a question? Yeah. Okay, please, Dr. Sundar.
Dr. Professor Khairul Alam, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah.
You have presented a very good research here about your robotic classification regression problems. There is only one small doubt I have. That is how you are doing dimensionality reduction. If suppose you have done the dimensionality reduction, how it can be reverted back to the what number of pixels. Have got it?
Sorry, in the sound is like not clear in my side. I'm sorry. Hello.
Have you got my question?
No, no, I didn't get. Sorry, doctor.
Tell you once again.
I'm a little bit like you asking about dimensional reduction and what is the
Dimensional how you will do dimensional reduction?
Gimana Bapak melakukan reduksi dimensi. Di situ ada kata kunci dimensionality reduction. Bagaimana cara melakukannya?
Okay, so you are asking about how did we do the dimensional reduction? Okay, wait. Sorry, because you know, like inside the room, the sound is so like not clear enough.
Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe in here, this one for normal machine learning application. For deep learning, mostly for the feature extraction, not so a big problem. For the machine learning one, we try to collect as many as possible features, because if we just rely on one feature, for example, root mean square or mean absolute value square, then the result is not so good. Then we are trying to collect as many as possible features. But the problem is the features will be huge and a lot. And then we need to reduce the dimension. And how do we do so? So this one, yeah. Okay. How can we reduce the dimension of this one? For example, this one is like PCA. Actually, as similar as PCA. We implement PCA, but different type of PCA. So we try to find out the best component of the features. For example, if we do PCA, we can get 4, 5, or until whatever number we want. And also in similar way, we can do in here, in my case, for example, because I said before, we propose here, we'll show what the propose. This one. Okay, maybe this one. Yeah, this one. We propose spectral regression ELM. Actually, this one is similar to autoencoder. Actually, if we do autoencoder, we reduce the dimension. So this one is so similar because spectral regression ELM is different type of a multi-layer perceptron, but in similar way like we do in autoencoder. So autoencoder is trying to reduce the dimension. This one as well, we did in the same thing. So for this is my proposal or our method when we are using spectral regression ELM. So if we in neural network, if we have more input, for example, 100, and we add different layers, and then at the end of the layer we try to make it minimum, and then this we do the dimensional reduction. So from 100, for example, we come to 10 of the component of the data. So this one, if our proposal, but for PCA it is different one, LDA is different one. About our data, we do the same thing as we do in auto encoder. Just we reduce the dimension of the hidden layer side. So the dimension of hidden layer side will be less than for the input unit of the autoencoder. So this is what we have done in our method. Maybe I hope this will answer your question. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, Professor.
Okay, I'm still not in professor's side.
Assistant Professor, Associate Professor, full Professor.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Hopefully, the graduate from Germany will get more productive and I think join paper with us with also with Dr. Sundar.
Yeah, okay, inshallah, Prof. Yeah.
Thank you, Associate
Thank you.
Professor.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And just keep going for sleeping again because it is very early morning in German. And sorry for bothering your time. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I want to leave. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give applause for our three keynote speakers. Thank you very much to our three honorable keynote speaker, Professor Slamin Akmal, SC PhD, Dr. Gina Gamani, and Associate Professor Fairulana PhD for the amazing presentation.
Kami sampaikan terima kasih kepada ketiga pembicara tamu kita, Profesor Slamin MCom SC PhD, Dr. Gina Gamani, and Associate Professor Khairul Anam MD PhD, dan juga kepada Bapak Zain Sutrisno SPD MPD sebagai moderator.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we entering our class agenda, we would like to invite once again to Associate Professor Dr. Gina Gamani and Associate Professor Khairul Anam PhD to join with us in the Zoom meeting, and we will have certificate awarding sessions. And this session will represented by Dr. Sundar to join with us and Professor Gavin to join to give the certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the tribute in awarding certificate for Dr. Gina Gamadi and Mr. Professor Khairul Anam PhD.
This is for Nagamani. Nagamani, madam, is for you. I give it to Dr. Sundar, is your representative from India.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give applause. And the second one's for Associate Professor Khairul Anam PhD.
And it is for you, Associate Professor Dr. Anam. You are now in Germany. You couldn't come in person. It is for you. The certificate is your presentation in our conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give applause for Associate Professor Khairul Anam PhD. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering our last agenda. That is closings and documentations. So to all participants in the Zoom meeting can turn the camera out. And all participants in this room can come forward to documentations.
Hadirin sekalian, tidak terasa waktu berlalu, kita memasuki acara terakhir yaitu sesi foto. Sesi foto bersama dengan partisipan. Pada seluruh partisipan untuk menghidupkan kamera masing-masing.
Ada di sini juga. Ya, bagus. Ya, terus lagi. Cheers.
1, 2, 3.
Sampai. Ya, di kiri. Nah, itu HP-nya. Ya, ya. Langsung.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. But before we close this event, we would like to inform you that after this main event, we still have the parallel sessions that will be held in Zoom breakout rooms and started at 2:15 p.m. in Western Indonesian time. So to all participants, please do not leave this Zoom meeting and might have rest.
Sebelum mengakhiri acara ini, izinkan kami menyampaikan informasi bahwa setelah ini akan ada sesi paralel yang akan dilaksanakan melalui Zoom breakout room pada pukul 14.15 WIB. Kepada seluruh partisipan, diharap untuk tidak meninggalkan Zoom dan disilakan untuk beristirahat sejenak. Terima kasih.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally, this is the end of the second day of the first Ladies and gentlemen, let us close the event by saying Hamdalah. For the last, I do apologize if there were mistakes. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and see you again in the second International Conference on